Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles, your favorite true crime podcast. I am Donnie, and with me is a man that wants everyone to know that anything related to Halloween doesn't scare him. What scares him is when he flushes someone else's toilet and the water keeps rising. It's Dale.
Shit, that's terrifying, ain't it?
Oh, yeah.
It don't have to be somebody else's. It could be your own, right?
Yeah. That water keeps rising.
It's already loaded, and here it comes. Whatever you do, don't ever hit it twice.
Yeah, grab some towels or something.
Yeah, because
water's hitting the floor.
Hold your breath.
Yep. That's scary, man.
It is.
Yep.
It's terrifying.
What's going on, dude?
Oh, same old, same old. How about yourself?
Same old, man.
Good.
Back in the Crack House doing an episode.
Doing it up, ain't we?
Doing a Halloween episode.
That's right. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloweeny. Yeah.
Yes.
What's going on? You got any good shout-outs? Anybody you want to talk about, dude?
Yeah, I got a couple of shout-outs.
Whoa. Bring them on.
Went up to the Big Liver Mush Festival in Shelby this weekend.
Liver mush.
Man, that's cool, isn't it? Yeah. I like it. You did a good job.
Yeah.
Man. Wow. I'm impressed. Yeah, and walk around for a good while. Seen a lot of people, a lot of friends, and got some good music with Dirty Grass Soul, a great band. But I run into Jordan Piercy of Sunshine Coffee, and I was just walking around, and he hollered at me and said he really enjoyed the podcast. And whenever I talked to him, said they'd been listening to a lot, and those just keep on doing what we're doing. They just love it.
We're just going to keep on keeping on, man.
So he's got some kick-ass coffee, and some, which I didn't have no coffee because I usually don't drink coffee, but I was drinking something else. But anyway, I did get some apple cider donuts from him.
Yeah.
Dude, that was awesome.
Pretty killer.
Yeah, very, very, very good. And a quick shout out to our buddy and fan of the show, Brian Bridges. It's always on my ass about getting him a shirt. And Freddie Ellis, who both bought hats from me this weekend. But yeah, we appreciate you guys picking up some merch and sporting the colors for us, if you will.
Yeah, sporting the Crack House Chronicles colors.
Yeah, and thanks, Jordan. I appreciate that, and appreciate the sticker, and the donuts were amazing, dude.
Oh, man. I have to check them out.
Yeah, you missed out, Don.
I know.
You was at home staring at that water rising.
Yeah, I was waiting for the water to rise here at the Crack House.
That's what that thing, the good Lord willing, and the water don't rise in it instead of the creek.
Yeah. Yeah, Lord willing, the creek don't rise.
Yeah.
Or the toilet don't rise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably scarier with the toilet rising.
I'm telling you, man.
Terrifying.
We got a scary episode this week.
Ooh.
Yeah, we got a Halloween episode.
Halloweeny.
Yeah. But we're going back in time on this episode.
Yep. I don't have a back in time noise.
No, we don't, but we're going back to 1974.
That's a good year.
Yeah, I guess it was.
Yeah.
I was 9 years old.
Man, you're old.
I know. I know I'm old, man. Yeah, this was Halloween of 1974.
We're all the way out in Pasadena, Texas.
Yeah, Texas.
We like Texas.
Yeah, we do like Texas.
I think Texas likes us.
Yeah, I think it does because we have a lot of downloads from Texas.
Yeah, we're good friends with Texas.
Yeah.
Go Cowboys. Go ahead.
Yeah, good Cowboys. But anyway, we're talking about a family by the name of the O'Bryans.
O'Brien.
Yeah.
And that's not spelled like O'Brien, like in Rocky Horror Picture Show. O'Brien is spelled different.
This is O''Bryans.
Correctamundo.
And this family of O'Briens, they lived in Deer Park. This is just a little area of Pasadena.
Is that where the water comes from?
I don't know.
Okay, go ahead.
But
Sorry.
anyway, it's just a little area near Pasadena, Texas. And the O'Briens consisted of Ronald O'Bryan. He was the dad. The mom was Diane. And they had two kids, Timothy and Elizabeth.
Right.
Yeah. And
Timothy was 8 and Elizabeth is 5.
That's correct.
At the time.
But Ronald, he worked as an optician.
Mm-hmm.
He did. And he worked for the Texas State Optical. And this is in Sharpstown, Houston.
So he makes glasses. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess glasses and...
Or something to do with glasses and contacts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Ronald was also a deacon at the Second Baptist Church.
Mm.
Yeah, and he also sang in the choir, and he ran the local bus program there for the church. So he was pretty active in his church.
So all Satan, he's a pretty high in the community kind of fellow.
Yeah, he was. But this is episode we're talking about is on October the 31st of 1974.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Halloween. And Ronald, he was going to take the kids trick-or-treating.
Well, this year, is kind of different from years in past because his wife was kind of confused because he was really excited about Halloween this year, even taking the kids and to get costumes and everything. And then
because before he hadn't been too excited about it.
Yeah, it was just another day,
Yeah.
I guess letting Mama do all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
But this time she was like, he's all into it. He's just thrilled and took him to that. And they were planning on to go over to their friends, the Bates, and have dinner. And
yeah.
And they were going to take the men were going to take the kids out trick-or-treating.
Yeah. But they went over to Jim and Jean Bates's house that lived near them there in Pasadena, Texas. And they dinner with them that evening, and the men were going to take the kids out trick-or-treating.
Right.
While the women stayed back at the house, at the Bates's house, to hand out candy to the trick-or-treaters there.
Yeah, the ones they got, because it was raining a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a chilly, rainy night.
And that does hinder trick-or-treating.
Put some damper on it.
It really does. Because I remember going trick-or-treating and having to wear a coat over my costume, and I was like, man, really?
Yeah. Or it was like freezing cold and you had to wear a coat. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this took all the fun out of it.
It did. I don't get cold. So the guys, they finished their dinner and they were going to take the kids trick-or-treating.
Right.
And Ronald, he had his 2 kids with him, 8-year-old Timothy and 5-year-old Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. And Jim had his kids, Mark and Kim. Now, there were some reports indicate that Kim didn't go.
Right. She just wanted to stay home with the women folks.
Yeah, and hand out candy to the trick-or-treaters.
Yeah. We just probably didn't want to walk around in the rain, maybe.
Yeah, but it was raining.
Yeah.
So they covered about 2 streets that night.
Well, they decided, since it was raining, as a group, they just decided that we'd only go around 2 streets because it was just bad weather.
Yeah.
Which is probably a good idea.
Yep. So they hit these 2 streets, and one house had its porch light turned off.
Yeah. After they come down the street and hit a couple houses, they went up, and there's one, like you said, it was just dark, nothing going on. But the kids wanted to knock on the door anyway.
Yeah, because they probably wouldn't get much candy.
Do we know what they dressed up as?
Timothy dressed up as a skeleton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Other than that, we don't know.
Well, other than that, we don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. I was just kind of curious.
But they went to the one house that the light was turned off.
Yeah, they wanted to try, like you said, because they probably wasn't getting much.
And they knocked anyway.
Right.
And no one came to the door.
All right.
And Jim Bates, he hurried the kids on down the street.
Yeah, let's go to the next house.
Yeah, but Ronald O'Bryan, he lagged behind a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of odd.
Yeah. And just a few minutes later, he rejoined up with the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, he was holding 5 giant Pixy Stix, Dale.
Yeah, he come running up going, hey, somebody came to the door.
Yeah.
He says, man, you must have some rich neighbors. They're giving out these things.
Expensive treats, yeah.
Wow, really cool. And it's not those little Pixy Stix. We're talking like those 21-inchers.
Yeah, those big, long
ones in a plastic tube.
Yeah. Yeah, these were giant Pixy Stix.
Mm-hmm.
And they were filled with sweet and sour fruit-flavored powdered sugar.
Goodness.
Yeah, it was just, yeah.
I love a Pixy Stix.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So he handed all the kids their Pixy Stix.
Mm-hmm.
And he even handed one to another kid that he had saw that went to their church.
Right. He's kind of run into him, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
But I think actually after he gave them to him, he kind of took it back and put them in his pocket or whatever because those big sticks wasn't fitting their little buckets.
That's true.
So he held on to them until they got back.
But he did hand one to another kid that he saw
mm-hmm.
that he went to church with.
Correct.
Yeah. And just a little while later, they called it a night.
Yeah. Finished up the streets or whatever and went back to the house.
Yep. Went back to the home while Ronald's wife, Donnie, went to visit a friend. So Ronald, he got the kids ready for bed. And he told his kids, Tim and Elizabeth, that they could each have a piece of candy before bedtime.
Right.
Yeah. And he encouraged them to eat the Pixy Stix.
Yeah, he suggested that they have the Pixy Stix.
He did. But Elizabeth, she didn't want the Pixy Stix. She wanted something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Timothy actually wanted a sucker. But then he told him he just didn't have time to eat a sucker before bedtime. So why don't you have the Pixy Stix?
Just guzzle some sugar down from the Pixy
That's
Stix.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have that sucker, eat this 2 pounds of sugar.
So he was going to try the Pixy Stix.
Right.
And when the candy wouldn't come out, Ronald rolled the plastic tube between his hands to sort of squeeze it.
Kind of break it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's what you do.
He even poured it into his son's mouth.
Yeah. But it's kind of odd because it was stapled shut.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Timothy complained that it had a bitter taste.
Yeah. So Ronald went and got him some Kool-Aid and brought him a Kool-Aid back to wash it down with.
Yeah, wash it down. And it was just a minute or two later, Timothy ran to the bathroom. And his stomach was just knotted up, man. Yeah. He was cramping.
He was really violently sick.
And he was vomiting, and then he started convulsing and foaming at the mouth.
My goodness.
And Ronald was holding his son until Timothy went limp. Yeah. So this time, Ronald called help.
Yeah.
He had an ambulance come to help get Timothy.
Mm-hmm.
And they took him to the hospital, but Timothy died before he ever got to the hospital.
He was DOA.
Yeah, he was. He was dead within 30 minutes after consuming whatever was in that Pixy Stix.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Terror.
I can't even imagine.
No, dude. By the time he actually got to the hospital, even though he was DOA, they did notice that he was kind of foaming at the mouth. And somebody had called someone and asked them what they thought about it. And they said, do you need to go and smell his breath, see what his breath smells like? But I'm assuming he didn't have much breath if he was already DOA, right?
Probably didn't.
I mean, you could smell in his mouth.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
And wanted to see if it smelled of almonds, because it sounded like a cyanide poisoning to him, the way everything went down and happened in such a quick death.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And sure enough, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Smelled that way, and then after they did an autopsy, they figured that out. That's exactly what it was.
But just a little bit on cyanide. It is a highly toxic poison.
Mm-hmm.
And acute intoxication is lethal if not immediately diagnosed and treated within just a few minutes. And people die of cardiorespiratory arrest immediately. What it does, it shuts down the cells of your body. It shuts off the oxygen to the cells.
You know, we talked about that a little bit in the Tylenol murders, you know.
Yeah, we did.
Because they killed, 5 or 6 people and died from that. And just think if that was just a little bit in a pill, no telling how much was in this thing. And said that when they come back from the autopsy, he had enough in the system it could have killed 2 or 3 men.
Yeah.
And even one of them even said it could have been an elephant. Could have, they was talking it was that much in that tube.
Yeah.
So as soon as the cops hear about what's going on and they come and freaking out, they go straight away to try to find the other tubes.
That's right.
Because it's like, well, shit, these 2 kids got them. Those 2 kids got them.
There's 5 tubes out there.
There's 5 tubes out, or 4 still out there.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So his daughter was fine because she didn't eat hers. And then the Bates kids, they were good because their mom and dad wouldn't let them open them, afraid there would be a mess all over the floor with all that
Yeah,
sugar.
they didn't want that sugar all over the floor.
Well, then when they went to Whitney Park's house, knocked on the door and told them what was going on, his mom and dad feverishly went looking for this tube of stuff in this candy bag.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it.
That's right.
So like, oh my God.
And they go in his bedroom.
Go busting in his room. He's laying in the bed, sleep, or looks like he's asleep.
Yeah.
With that Pixy stick in his hand.
Yeah, he couldn't get it open.
Yeah.
He fell asleep holding that Pixy stick.
Right.
Wow.
So that's what saved him. He couldn't get it open and fell asleep with it. So he's kind of curled up with it in the bed. That's how close it was.
Man.
And come to find out, these things had about the top 2 inches was all pure cyanide.
Yeah.
So that's what he was tasting when his daddy poured that in his mouth. That's why he was flipping out, because it didn't taste good. That's what it was. And then he actually washed it down for him.
Yeah. He consumed all that.
Yeah. And that's what killed him right away.
You imagine, dude.
No.
So they were Pixy Stix that were laced with cyanide.
Yes.
And they got these Pixy Stix and they were trying to find out where they came from.
Yeah.
And they went to Ronald O'Bryan to try to find out where they'd got these Pixy Stix while they were trick-or-treating.
Yeah, and he said that he couldn't remember.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait, dude, you said you only went on 2 streets.
That's right.
So how hard can it be to remember where it's not like just a piece of bubble gum or whatever like everybody else is giving out.
Mm-hmm.
You should remember this. This is like a major gift. Or
yeah. So they went around the streets.
Yeah, they asked him, so since you can't find the house, tell us what he looked like.
Yeah, exactly. Try to describe him.
Who gave it to you? And he's like, well, I never saw nobody's face. When we knocked on the door and everybody else walked off, and we started to walk off, then the door cracked open and
a hairy arm.
A hairy arm come out and gave me these 5 sticks.
Yeah.
Which, what the hell? So that's what he told him. So he still went down with exactly which house it was. But I think it was on another time that they took him and they went back to walk again when he was still, because they started to suspect something ain't right here.
Yeah, his story ain't adding up to
none of this adds up again. So like, let's go again. So they take him around again, and then that's when they walking down the road, and he looks up and he's seen this one house, and there's a guy sitting on the front porch in the swing, or on the front porch. I'm not sure if it was a swing. Sitting on the front porch, and he goes, wait, this is the house right here.
That's right.
So they find out who that is, and then they go straight away and arrest this guy at work. So I don't know why they wouldn't just go talk to him right then.
Yeah.
Unless they just trying to figure out what's going on. But that was what the story was, that the fellow was at home at the point when they come by and saw him there. But then later they went and picked him up at work.
Yeah, they did.
Right.
And he was an air traffic controller at the local airport.
Yes. There
in Houston. And they arrested him there at work.
Right in front of everybody.
They did. They took him in, trying to find out
well, I'm sure
what he knew.
They're all to hell. They're panicking. They're freaking out. What's going on here? How many of these are out here? There's just these 5. This guy giving these things out to everybody. What's going on here?
And his name was Courtney Melvin.
Yes.
Yeah. And he confirmed that he was working that night. He worked up till about 10:45, 11 o'clock that night.
Yeah.
And there were over 200 people saw him at work.
Right.
So It couldn't have been him that done that.
And even his wife and daughter had been home, but they had shut the lights out early because they had run out of candy way early.
Yes.
So this is a BS lead.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, wait now. So now they go back and look at him a little bit closer because something is just not adding up here.
But Ronald's story kept changing.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept, like he didn't have any emotion.
Yeah.
You know, even at the hospital, when they were trying to help Timothy or trying to find out what happened to Timothy, he didn't show any emotion.
Well, it said, the first policeman said that he didn't really seem suspicious, but he wasn't really grieving either. So he wasn't crying, wasn't nothing. It was just kind of odd.
Yeah.
And the wife had said that when it first happened, he like beat the wall at home, like, why did he have to die? Why did he have to die? But she said there wasn't much more than that.
Yeah.
So he's like trying, you know, it just don't seem like it's legit.
Yeah, that's right.
So I guess they start looking into him now.
Yeah. They look at him a little bit more, and they find out that he's having some money problems.
Serious money problems.
They realized that at the time, this in 1974, he was more than $100,000 in debt.
Yeah.
Which equates to today of a little over $600,000 in 2023.
Crazy.
It is.
How do you get that damn far in debt?
I don't know. And they also realized that his car was about to be repossessed.
Right. Well, his house had already went into foreclosure.
Yep.
So they had sold the house and was living in well, they say they sold it. I don't know how you do it if it's in foreclosure, but anyway, they had lost the house.
And they had to move out into an apartment.
To an apartment. And that's why one of the reasons that the wife's like, well, he's thrilled because the people that they were trick-or-treating with, they used to live nearby. They were their friends.
They were friends, yeah.
Right. So they hadn't seen them since they had moved. And then they found out that the car was almost ready to be repossessed, and they're going to lose that. And he'd also defaulted on several other loans.
Yes. And on top of all that, where he worked at the Texas State Optical, they were about to fire him for theft.
Yeah. But, you know, that ain't nothing new because he had 21 jobs in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And lost a lot of them for that same reason.
Yep.
So I'm like, man, how do these people keep giving this guy money? But if you think about it, 1974 is a lot different than it is now. It's not like everybody's connected and knows what everybody's doing.
You just go in and sign your name and get a loan.
Yeah, and go to another one. And if nobody's talking, you're all good.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they realized that in January of 1974, Ronald took out a $10,000 life insurance policy on Timothy and Elizabeth, his two kids. Yeah.
Which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
To a lot of people. I mean, you might want to.
Because they didn't have the money to do this.
Right. You know, and then if you took a life insurance policy, you know, for a child, maybe you would do it to cover a funeral cost in case something bad happened, but nothing. And I think $10,000 back then was 1974 would equal like back 65,000 now. So
wow.
That's a lot more than what a funeral cost would be.
But now his wife, Deneen, she objected to these policies, but he went ahead and done them.
Well, he's wanting to get another one now.
Yeah, I mean, and she was totally unaware that he took out two more policies.
Right.
It was $20,000 each.
Mm-hmm.
This was on around the October 3rd of 1974. Mm-hmm. And she didn't know anything about these.
Right, and he had actually had made an appointment with his insurance people to have one on his wife taken out. But she canceled the appointment saying that we just can't afford that. So we're not doing that.
Yep.
So she canceled that, which is smart on her part.
Mm-hmm. And he even called the insurance companies days before all this and to find out how things could be paid out if something happened.
Yeah. How do I get paid out?
Yeah.
If something was to happen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He was wanting to know.
So things are starting to go, all of a sudden now she's kind of realizing what's going on here.
Yeah. So the morning after Timothy's death, Ronald called the insurance company to ask about the payout.
The next morning?
Yeah, the next morning.
Jesus. Yeah. I mean.
So they told him he was going to have death certificates.
Yeah, so, you know, he's went and got 6 printed out.
Yeah.
6.
6 of them, yeah. To get these insurance payments, yeah.
Get it rolling, maybe. Now, this is the 31st, so next day, and now the 2nd is when they had his funeral.
Yeah, 2 days later.
2 days later, which is really fast to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I asked, you know, we were talking about it earlier, like, man, how do they do this and have an autopsy and all that done in 2 days when they can have his funeral? And it seemed like his dad, you know, he was there and he was putting up a good front, you know, and he even had sang a song that he said he'd written for his son about him being with Jesus.
Yep.
And I think a local news had come in and actually filmed him singing that song. And then, so they did the funeral, and she said even at the funeral, it was kind of like a lot of people was going to look like he was kind of making him about himself, not really knowing him, like you said, not any emotion really at all about losing his son.
Yeah, and he wouldn't even go by and look at the casket or anything with his son in it.
Yeah, wouldn't look, just walk by, not even looking down.
Yeah.
And then later that night, something else weird happened. Like everybody was tired and wore out, and he had heard that the news was going to play that clip on the news that night.
Feature that story, yeah.
Yeah, and everybody was tired and wanted to go to bed, and he was mad because nobody wanted to stay up and see him on TV.
What the heck, man? It's all about him.
All about him.
Yeah.
Well, they had still looking into his background, after this, and kind of acting weird, and found out he had been taking some classes at a local community college, and I guess he was kind of using it as a kind of a Google kind of thing. He was asking his professor, how much cyanide or something would take to kill a person, and is there a better poison than cyanide to use or something like that? And then everybody's going, why is he asking these weird questions? And even looked back and he'd found out he had actually tried to get his boss at the optical company to buy some cyanide to clean gold rim glasses.
Yeah.
Which he thought was really weird because they hadn't done that in like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just something that you just didn't do anymore. And then he came back to him again later to try to talk him into doing it again. And he told him, just don't talk to me about it. You need to talk to somebody higher up because I'm not doing it.
And he even visited a Houston chemical company to ask about buying some cyanide.
Yeah, it was a guy that he had worked with before. He went in to talk to him about it.
Yeah, they told him that the minimum amount he'd have to purchase was 5 pounds.
Right.
So he just left.
Yeah, and some other people had told him that he'd come over asking about stuff too, and they didn't know the guy's name. They knew he was wearing like a tan or a light blue smock. That's all that they definitely remembered that about him. And guess what he wears when he goes to work?
A smock.
Right.
Yeah, like doctor's clothes.
Right.
Yeah.
So by this time, the cops are finding out all this stuff about the insurance, about asking about the poison, and so they decided to pick him up.
Yep. But they got a warrant to search his home.
Yes.
And there they found a pair of scissors, Dale. And on this pair of scissors, they found plastic residue that matched the plastic from the Pixy Stix.
Yes.
Yeah. They'd been cut.
And then they found a knife that actually had some of the resin from the Pixy Stix stuff on it, the actual dust.
And they also found a tape from an ad machine.
Yeah, like a piece of strip of paper.
Yeah. Like a receipt, but it prints out. But
people nowadays don't know what ad machine is.
Yeah, but so it's like a calculator that prints out a piece of paper.
That's exactly what it was.
Up.
Yeah, it was a little calculator with a roll of paper, like a cash register receipt paper on the back of it.
But what had happened when they looked at it was the amount totaled up was the amount that he was in debt and the amount that he was going to get from the insurance money.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was almost identical.
Yes.
So, and I'm not sure if it was typed out, but I think what it was where he had tore the paper off and then made a list on the back of it.
Wow.
Like a handwritten list, yeah. So everything is piling up and pointing the finger at Mr. O'Bryan.
Yep. So on November the 5th of 1974, Ronald O'Bryan was arrested for the murder of his son Timothy. Just 5 days after he had died.
Didn't take long, did it?
No. And despite his attempts to blame an innocent person for giving out the poison Pixy Stix, the circumstantial evidence piled up against him, man.
Yep.
Yeah. They had him.
And now, even though he proclaimed his innocence throughout all.
Yeah, he did.
He never admitted he did anything. He said, you got it wrong. I didn't do it. I didn't kill my son.
So the following year in May, his trial started, Dale.
That'd be 1975.
Yes. And on June the 3rd of 1975, it only took the jury 46 minutes to unanimously convict Ronald O'Bryan of one charge of capital murder and 4 counts of attempted murder.
Yeah.
Because, if he'd handed the cyanide out to...
If them kids would have ate it, they'd have killed him.
They did. Yeah, it would have killed him.
I mean, and, as we was talking about the things being stapled, they actually did go, the detectives called the company and asked them about that. And they're like, no.
They're heat sealed.
They're heat sealed on both ends. And
Yep.
these were heat sealed on one, and then the other end had been, I guess like you said, they had taken the scissors and cutting the end off, dumped some stuff out, packed it back full of cyanide, and then folded it over and stapled it shut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty crappy, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just think they were that close to all of them dying.
I know.
Most of today's testimony came from Jimmy Bates, a close friend of the O'Bryan family. Bates said that before Halloween, O'Bryan asked if he could bring his children over to trick-or-treat with the Bates children on Halloween night. Both families ate dinner together, and then the fathers took the children trick-or-treating. Bates said O'Bryan went to one house where no one appeared to be home, and after the children had scampered ahead to the next house, O'Bryan came off the front porch carrying the Pixy Stix. He gave the Pixy Stix to the children and then later took them back and said he wanted to stop at his car for a moment. Bates said when O'Bryan came back into the Bates house, he returned the Pixy Stix to the children. Later that night, Timothy O'Bryan died from eating a poisoned Pixy Stick.
And think about it. He didn't really. If he didn't care about killing his own kids, and his buddy's kids, and then he gave it to another kid from his church, where he's a deacon at, and sings in the choir. Yeah. Mr. Community Man. Whew.
I know.
Go ahead.
But also, it didn't take the jury but like 76 minutes to come up with this punishment.
Yeah, and on this case, it was one where the actual jury
decided
the punishment on.
Yes, because this is Texas.
Right.
Yep.
Express lane.
Yeah. So they decided death by electric chair.
Electric chair.
Yeah.
Ride the lightning. Yeah.
That's right. But it took nearly 10 years for Ronald O'Bryan to exhaust all of his appeals.
Mm-hmm.
And he received 3 stays of execution.
Man. And on his third execution date, you know when it was scheduled?
For Halloween of 1982.
1982.
It was the 8-year anniversary of Timothy's death.
Right.
Yeah. And the judge, his name was Michael McSpadden, who offered to personally drive Ronald O'Bryan to the death chamber.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, these people are not happy with this fella at all.
No. And Ronald O'Bryan's 4th execution date.
Yeah, it got pushed off Halloween. That would have been so poetic.
Yeah. But it got set back again until March 31st of 1984. And
right.
This time, another stay of execution would not be granted.
Nope.
But back in 1977, Texas had adopted lethal injection as its execution method.
Yeah.
And this spared Ronald O'Bryan from the electric chair.
What was electric chair inhumane?
That's what they were saying, yeah.
You know, I don't know, man. That kind of pisses me off because you think any of these killers worry about anybody being humane when they killing people?
No, he wasn't thinking about it at all.
No.
He was just worried about his bills. And
he trying to pay bills. What am I going to do? I'm going to kill my kids.
Yeah.
Hot almighty.
So on the night of Ronald O'Bryan's execution, there were about 300 people gathered outside the Texas State Penitentiary in Huntsville.
Yeah, there were some pros and some against.
Yeah, they were.
Some protesters.
And the ones that were out there, they were shouting trick or treat.
And as soon as they heard the news, they just started throwing candy at all the protesters.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ain't that crazy?
Just chanting trick or treat, trick or treat. It kind of gives me chills.
Mm-hmm. But on his way to the death chamber, Ronald O'Bryan had a last bit of words. And what he said was, what is about to transpire in a few moments is wrong. However, we as human beings do not make mistakes and errors. This execution is one of those wrongs, yet doesn't mean our whole system of justice is wrong. Therefore, I forgive all who have taken part in any way in my death.
Yeah, it's all about me again.
Yeah.
He never said nothing about his son.
Yeah, sitting on death row for nearly a decade.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say anything about his son or the other 4 kids that he tried to kill.
It still says he's innocent. Didn't do it.
I know.
But once he got that lethal injection, it began to work in about 30 seconds, and 8 minutes later, he was dead.
Yes. And his wife was even quoted as saying, he has made his bed, now he's having to lie in it. I have no pity for him.
Yep. Man, how could you?
Mm-mm. Even the friend of his, Jim Bates, that he went trick-or-treating that night with the kids, he was quoted as saying, as much as I would like to feel sorry for Ronald O'Bryan, I don't. The death penalty is bad, but it's not as bad as that little boy's death.
And just think, dude, he was about to kill your kids, too.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what, if I found out he was about to kill my kids, they better lock him up. He won't need no needle.
You going after him, are you?
Yeah. You'll miss messing with my kids.
But he had a lot of nicknames. He was called the Halloween Boogeyman, the Man Who Stole Halloween.
The Man Who Killed Halloween.
Yeah.
The Candy Man.
Yeah, he had a lot of nicknames.
Man, what a damn story. It's just, and I guess a lot of that check your candy and stuff all come from this because, it might have been something before this, but he really played into this thing about strangers giving out kids, and that's what he tried to do. He just wasn't very smart about it.
No.
Which is good. I mean, he still killed his own kid, but actually pouring the powder in his mouth himself.
He did.
Yeah. And then tried to play it off.
But Ronald O'Bryan is buried at Forest Park East Cemetery in Webster, Texas. And Timothy O'Bryan is buried at Forest Park Lawndale Cemetery in Houston. Yeah. Sad, man.
Yeah.
It really is.
I know his wife, she divorced him as soon as he got, well, I think she started it during the trial, but as soon as he got convicted, she divorced him. She did remarry, and then the guy, he adopted their daughter.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
And she did receive the insurance settlement in the form of a check.
She did.
But she never cashed it.
No.
She said that was blood money.
She said it was blood money, and I'll have no part of it.
So she didn't cash it.
So she just threw $30,000 away because she's like, I ain't doing it.
No, I wouldn't either.
No.
Mm-mm.
Whew, man, blood money.
That's shitty, man.
It is.
He was just a monster.
He's a monster, dude. And he never, like you said, no emotion stuff. I mean, he was just trying to, and some of his friends came up later and said, it's kind of odd because, a lot of people knew he was in debt, and then he would say, well, I'm expecting to come in some money soon, and he actually had called the banks and said, no, I'm going to catch those loans up by the end of the year, so just give me to the first of the year. I'm expecting to come into a large sum of money.
That's what he's saying, yeah.
So the whole damn time, and he'd been planning this since the first of the year. So it ain't like the last minute I decided I'm going to kill my kids. He'd been working on this thing since like January when he started.
This is calculated murder, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was described as a pillar of the community. Even the preacher there at the church said he was a good man, above average father.
Above average.
Yeah, that's what he was quoted as saying, above average father.
Yeah, good Christian man.
Yeah. But he was, I know they thought he had money problems, but besides that, they considered him a good person.
Well, money problems don't make you a bad person.
That's right.
It might make you a bad money budgeter or something, but not a bad person. But yeah, he had them all fooled.
He did.
I think. I mean, you just don't go from I'm super good into I'm gonna kill my kids. Not in my opinion.
Yeah, but he never took any responsibility.
No.
For Timothy's death
all the way to the end. Never.
But that's our Halloween episode, man.
Ooh. So check your candy and all that mess.
That's right.
But I think that's like I said before, I think that's where a lot of that check your
candy
thing come from. But I think really this is probably the only death that's happened intentionally where a child was intentionally poisoned from Halloween candy.
Yeah, there's always all these urban legends about people getting poisoned by candy or
razor blazing
candy, but that's never happened. It's never been reported as happened.
They even said at one time that some candy people, like even set up a hotline for something, let us know if you hear anything. They had set it up and they got 0 calls.
People going and getting their candy x-rayed.
Yeah, that can't be good.
No, it can't be. But yeah, this was the only one.
Okay, well that's kind of shocking.
Man killed
story.
his own son.
Yeah, shocking story.
Just for his own money satisfaction.
Pay my bills, man.
Pay his bills. But anyway, that is the story of Ronald Clark O'Bryan, the man who killed Halloween.
The man who killed Halloween.
Yep.
Piece of trash.
We want everybody to be safe out there on Halloween. Don't do anything stupid.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is the Crack House Chronicles.